So we're going to look today at Europe in the 15th century, because remember our theme that we're looking at is indigenous peoples and Europeans. And we have covered the indigenous peoples already. So we would have looked at the Taínos or the Taínos, the Kalinagos, the Mayas. We would have looked at their technologies and their art forms. We look how they would have related with each other. So we are quite competent when it comes, or knowledgeable when it comes to the indigenous peoples. Our main aim now is to look at the indigenous peoples, but also to look at how the tranquility, the how the nice lifestyle, the culture of these persons were eroded in the Caribbean. And so we need to look at how the Europeans would have arrived in the Caribbean and changed the indigenous people's lives in the Caribbean, and what are the contributions of the Europeans to the Caribbean. So that's our focus for this theme. However, before we look at the Europeans, we know for sure that they came into the Caribbean in the 15th century. We need to know a few things about Europe. We need to locate Western Europe on a map. We need to identify the different political systems or kingdoms in Western Europe during the 15th century. We need to discuss their religious, political, and trading system, discuss some of the challenges that they would have faced when it comes to trading, and also we also going to look at factors that led to exploration. What do I mean by factors that led to exploration? What were the factors that caused them to go onto the sea on a ship that they reached into the Caribbean? What were
Sir,
those factors? Go
sir,
ahead.
wasn't Christopher Columbus? He was looking for gold.
That is
He
one
was
of
going to.
the,
Oh wait, he was going to India, I think, sir. And then he, but remember, he thought that the world was flat, so that's when
yeah,
he, and then he kind of like passed it, and then that's when he went to the Caribbean.
very correct. You are correct. You are very much correct. All right. So very good uh, summary, Marson. Very good. So we know for sure that we know the European who would have arrived in the Caribbean, Christopher Columbus. And we have places in Jamaica, like, do you anybody know Discovery Bay?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Discovery Bay
That's
is
where
where
Christopher Columbus first. He
yes, Discovery Bay is where he was first, uh the ship arrived
docked.
uh, first in Jamaica, that area. But before we go, ladies, there are a few housekeeping matters. I'm hoping that you're reading your textbooks. These are your textbooks. Do you have these textbooks or one of them?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir. I have the green
Which
one.
one do you have?
The
So I
green.
have both.
Green one.
Hmm?
I have both.
Both? Anybody else? So everybody has a copy of at least one. This book and this book is the same. You realize? Anybody realize that they are the same book?
Yes, sir.
So this, the reason why most of you might receive, uh, not everybody would have received foundation one, correct? Or everybody got foundation one. Who haven't received foundation one? Could you raise your hands for me in the raise your hands if you have received. If you have received foundation one, raise your hand. Walker, Robinson,
You have or if you haven't.
repeat.
If you have or if you haven't.
If you have, if you have foundation one, if you have foundation one, all right, you can lower your hand for me, please. So most students have Caribbean story, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. Both books is the same information in both books. The only thing is that this book has colored pictures in it. Foundation one. And so it is the same information in both. So what they used to do is, well, last year I realized that most of the students did not receive the Caribbean History Foundation one. They said the government did not send most of, didn't have a send enough of the foundation one book. So I went to the book room and I told the book room coordinator to give everybody Caribbean Story Book One because it is the same information. And this is the one that I'm using, this one here, Caribbean Story. So what I'm going to ask you to do is to read. So I want you to read pages 16 to 30. You're going to read pages 16 to 30, and you're going to make notes. Always read ahead of the teacher.
Sir,
Go ahead.
sir, I don't have that book, so can someone send the pages in the group, please?
But you know that if you don't have the book, you can go to the book room and request it.
Sir, that's the
Sir,
thing. I went up there yesterday, but I don't know what's the problem. Like my mother went up there and she didn't come back with any books.
Go and speak with, because one of the things is that there's a lot of copies in the book room. I went in there and I saw the copies. They have over 300 copies in there. And it's just 90 of you doing history. So everybody can get at least two of this book. So I tell your mom to call the school before she goes there and let you call before and see if you can get a copy of the book. But in the meantime, if you want, help her out by sending the pages for her. All right, ladies, so we are going to look at Europe in the 15th century. And it is very important that we know what Europe was like. Europe was very divided and it had several kingdoms. So this is a map of Europe. A map of Europe. And Europe, this is Europe had quite a lot of kingdoms. And a kingdom is ruled by which type of government? Which type of government ruled a kingdom?
A monarch.
Monarchy.
A monarch. So so European countries either had a king or a queen during the 15th century. Now, quite important. So the head of each kingdom was either a king or a queen, what we call a monarch. Now, during the 15th century, France, which is located here, had one king, one ruler France had during the 15th century. So all of this area here was ruled by one king. Portugal was ruled, which is right here. If you look at my cursor, Portugal had one king, a ruler. They had one ruler. The this area right here, which is going to be a very important territory, one second for me, please. Good. All right, now, ladies. So there's a student in the waiting room. Okay, good. Now, this area that we have right here is what is now considered to be the United Kingdom, the UK. But in the 15th century, it was not considered to be, it didn't consider to be the United Kingdom during the 15th century. In fact, here would have been England, where I'm pointing, England. So England had one king or a queen by itself. Wales had their own king and queen, and Scotland had their own king and queen. So Wales, England, and Scotland had three different rulers. However, in the 15th century, what is going to happen is that Wales and England are going to, those two different territories, even though they're on the same landmass, they're on the same island, because this is an island, it's surrounded by sea. Wales and England, they are going to have one monarch that is going to rule Wales and England. So Wales is here. All of this area is Wales. And all of this area is England. So they are going to have one monarch. So by the time Christopher Columbus arrived in the Caribbean in the 15th century, Wales and England were under the same leadership. Now, all of these kingdoms, Wales, England, Scotland, was united. That's why they call them the United Kingdom in 1707, or what they call Great Britain. So you have ever wondered why they call that area United Kingdom? Have you ever wondered that before, ladies? No, nobody responding.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So it is called the United Kingdom because, well, it called Great Britain. So all of here is Great Britain, Scotland, Wales, and England. They are going to come together in 1707 and they are going to be known as Great Britain. Then after a while, I believe in 1922, Ireland is going to join Scotland, Wales, and England, and it is going to, all this area here is going to be called the United Kingdom. So that's why they refer to themselves as the UK, the United Kingdom. So that was how Europe was. Oh, not even to talk about Eastern Europe, because all of here is Western Europe. All of this side is Western Europe. Eastern Europe, on the other hand, was quite divided, very, very divided. And even until even until after World War I and World War II, you would have done those, we would have seen that it would have continued to form new countries, right? So Europe wasn't what we know it as today. In what year did Ireland become a part of the United Kingdom? In 1922. 1922. So, and I just want to point out that before they became part of the United, well, the name of the territory changed to United Kingdom in 1922. Now, I just want to make note of Ireland. Ireland is divided into two states. So North Ireland, which is here, is part of the United Kingdom. However, South Ireland is not part of the United Kingdom today. All right? That is not important. I just want to give you some background information on it. What is important is that you know that the Western Europe was ruled by several different monarchs, right? France and Portugal was basically one of the territories in Western Europe that had a single monarch. Now, I am going to look at this part here that is called Spain, because they are the ones who are going to. Now, ladies, this area right here, all of this area is what we know today as the Iberian Peninsula. So all of this area that I'm looking at is the Iberian Peninsula. And there are two countries on the Iberian Peninsula today. The two countries are Portugal and Spain. So Portugal and Spain are the two countries on the Iberian Peninsula. Now, where the Iberian Peninsula is located, it is north. So if you look at this map, it is north. It is between North Africa. The Iberian Peninsula is between North Africa and France. The Iberian Peninsula is between North Africa and France. Ladies, you see, I'm stressing these stuff because CXC has asked these questions very,
Excuse me,
very,
sir.
very. Go ahead, Marson.
Sir, today would there be like a lot of Europeans like in North Africa since they're so close to each other?
They are very close. A lot of Europeans lived in North Africa. Very, very close. So Spain is just right across from North Africa. You can swim across. Well, not really swim, but you can swim. So in North Africa, if we look right here, the Iberian Peninsula is made up of two territories, Portugal and Spain. And it's between France and North Africa. Now, ladies, before you had a country that named Spain, before the country named Spain was united, you had several different kingdoms. You had several different kingdoms on the Iberian Peninsula. One of the kingdom was Portugal. They had their own king. Another was Castile and Aragon. Another one was not Ghana, but Granada, right? So these were the territories. All of these territories were on the Iberian Peninsula. However, in the 15th century, and let me give you a little background information, on the Iberian Peninsula, there's always problem between the Portuguese and the people from Castile and the people from Aragon and the people from Granada. There's always conflict between these kingdoms. What is going to take place, ladies, is that in 1469, October the 19th, 1469, King Ferdinand from Aragon, from this state right here, King Ferdinand from Aragon, is going to get married to Queen Isabella from Castile. And so because they're going to get married, they are going to unite both kingdoms together. So you have Queen Isabella and King Ferdinand from Aragon. And what they're going to do is that they are going to rename this area Spain. So that's how Spain got its name. Now they had a problem because right here in Granada, they had Jews and Muslims living in Granada. And so what they're going to do is that they're going to, after a period of time, they're going to get rid of the Moors and the Jews from Granada, and Granada is going to become part of Spain. So today we have Castile, Aragon, Granada as being part of Spain. And that's why today, all of these kingdoms are now part of Spain, Castile, Aragon, and Granada. And so on the Iberian Peninsula today, there are only two countries, Portugal and Spain. Is that clear, ladies?
Yes, sir.
Very
Sir,
good. Go ahead.
sir, can you
Go.
go back to the first slide so I can screenshot it, please?
Sir, what about Navarre? Is that a part of
It
Spain?
was a separate kingdom. It was a
Thank
separate, it was a separate kingdom, but Castile took it over not within the 15th century. They would have taken it over before that. And and thank you for pointing that out, right?
Sir, so it wouldn't be considered one of the kingdoms in the peninsula.
No, no, no. Because it became part of Castile. And so by the time the king and the queen got married, it was just Castile and Aragon and Granada. So when they got married, they unite Aragon and Granada together. Sorry, the Castile and Aragon together. And their only issue was with Granada.
Excuse me, sir.
Go ahead,
After
Brown.
driving out the Moors out of Grenada, where did they go? Back to Africa?
Yes, they went back to Africa. In fact, there are real, well, historians have argued that all of this area right here, Spain and Portugal, was originally settled by Moors and Jews. It was not only Granada, but all over was settled by the Moors. And so the Europeans came from France into this area on the Iberian Peninsula and constantly drive them out. So by the 15th century, the only place that, well, one of the only places that majority of them would have settled is would have been what we consider the would have been considered well, the part of, I lose my concentration. Sorry about that. So I'll get back to it. So ladies, so if we look at this map here, this map gives us a clearer picture of how it looked at the time when Columbus came. So you had Scotland as a separate kingdom, Wales and England, which had one leader, France had one, Portugal had one leader, and Spain, right? And as I was saying, that historians argue that majority of these areas were settled originally by the Black Muslims, who they call the Moors. Now, both England, France, Spain, and Portugal, they were all Christian countries, right? They were all Christian countries. Portugal and Spain, they were Roman Catholics. So this area and this area, they were Roman Catholic, and the head of the Roman Catholic would have been here in Rome. So not too far. And so they were very powerful. The Roman Catholic Church during the 15th century was very powerful in Europe. Look at this. The Roman Catholic, all of this area was called the Holy Roman Empire. All of this area in Eastern Europe. The Holy Roman Empire. And you have the Papal State here, which is Rome. So the Catholic Church controlled from here in Italy, all of here, the Roman Empire, France, Spain, Portugal, right, in the 15th century, because they would have taken over quite a lot of the land from the Black Moors and the Jews. So the only area that they had problems with was Granada, because Granada was controlled mostly or settled mostly by Muslims and Jews. What do you think going to happen? What
Sir,
is
war.
so you're going to have conflict, war. You're going to have war, very correct. You're going to have war between the Christians, because all of this area now is Spain. Castile and Aragon is now Spain. Portugal is Christian, France is Christian, all of these areas is Christian. They are Roman Catholics. And all the Muslims are settled in Granada, which is, and also not only Muslim, but also Jews. So what they're going to do is that they're going to have a war, and this war between the Christians and the Christians and the Moors was called the Reconquista. The war was called Reconquista. All right, ladies,
Excuse me, sir.
go ahead.
Sir, I was watching like this video on the French Revolution, and they told me that in France, it was a Roman Catholic place, and then they told me that at a time it became atheist, and they like changed the calendar and like the whole way of life until it like changed back after a couple of years. Sir.
Yes, you are correct. The thing is that even though Napoleon tried to get rid of during the French Revolution, they tried to get rid of the Roman Catholic, because I believe they would have killed the Pope during that period, but they were not successful in getting rid of the Roman Catholic Church from France. So if you go to Spain
Sir,
today, yes, go ahead.
sir, there's a
Denton.
place called Vatican City.
Yes.
Is that where that place is?
No.
Sir, because I think that's isn't that like the center of where all the popes live and stuff?
So they would look at this map, they would have lived here. The Vatican City is right here on the map. That where you see papal state, that is the Vatican City. Right here. This is where all the Pope would have lived in Rome. But although they lived here, they had full control of all of this area. The Roman Catholic Church. The Roman Catholic Church was very, very powerful during this period. And so, ladies, what is going to happen is that they're going to have a war between the Christians and the Moors, and this was called the Reconquista. Now, it was not until 1492, so in 1492, the same year, when Christopher Columbus arrived in the Caribbean, before he arrived in the Caribbean, Spain, because by this time, Castile and Aragon would have been Spain, got rid of the Moors from Granada. They expelled them. In fact, they also expelled the Jews. 150,000 Jews were expelled. So they expelled them from this area, and they took control of this area. And so in the end, the Christians won the war. So all of this area today,
Sir, like
is
expel
now
them as like
considered
move them
Spain.
somewhere, sir? Or like
Repeat.
you mean expel them like move them somewhere, sir? Or like kill them?
Killed and tell them to leave.
Leave and go where, sir?
Some of them went back to North Africa. The Jews went all over the world. Some came into the Caribbean, but Most of them went back into North Africa. It was very bad.
Sir, that's why Morocco, which is right there, right across from Castile, that's why it's a
Yes.
that is why it's a Muslim country.
That's why it's a Muslim country.
Sir, so were they originally from Africa or were they the natives of that land?
In fact, from what we have been told, they said that the black Muslims were the original inhabitants of the peninsula. So they would have lived all from Portugal, Castile, Aragon, Granada. They would have originally lived here, all of this area, but after a period of time, the Christians came in, they took over this area and called it Castile, set up a kingdom. Same thing with Aragon, same thing with Portugal. So the last portion to took control over was Granada. Clear, ladies?
Sir, them they really treat the Jews them bad, man. Mm.
Yes, not only the Jews, but the Muslims also. So the Jews went all over the place. Some came to Jamaica. Some came, some of the Jews went to other parts of the world and settled. And anybody, if you know Morocco, which is right there, let us see if I have a better map. Because, so if we look at the map right now, all of this area is the Iberian Peninsula. North Africa is right here. Now, here where my cursor is on is Morocco. And in Morocco, there are two major religions in Morocco, Judaism and Christianity. In fact, most of North Africa today are Muslims. All of this area today in North Africa is Muslim. So when people say that, so for example, the West in which we came from was very diverse in terms of religion. You had the traditional African religion, you had Muslims, you had Jews, and also all of this area had Christians who were living there. Also had Christians. So Africa was very diverse. Now, ladies, I want to go to trading. So we know for sure that this area by 1492, with the exception of Portugal, became a united kingdom that is called Spain. What is going to happen is that you're going to have trade between Western Europe. All of this area in Western Europe is going to trade with India and China. They're going to call all of this area is called the East Indies. All of this area is going to call the East Indies. But the question is, they are trading luxury goods. So Europeans, they sold goods to East India, or the East Indies. They sold goods to the East Indies, which is India and China. They sold goods like wine, salt, fish, furs, woolen, cotton. So those were some of the goods that the Europeans sold. And also, some of the goods that the European got from the East Indies, they got silk, jewels, ivory, gold, dye stuff, spices, leather, ginger, nutmeg, coffee. So from this area, ladies, in the East Indies, Europe received goods such as silk, jewels, ivories, a lot of golds, a lot of things that they would have gotten from here. And Europe would have also sold those goods. Now, ladies, European traders made a lot of money from this trade because once they bring in the goods from the East Indies, things like silk, can you imagine you having the silk to wear and the ivory and the gold and ginger and the spices and the coffee? It is going to make a lot of money in Western Europe. They are making a lot of money in Western Europe. And so we know for sure that was a trade that was taking place. Now, before I go to that, ladies, most of the trade took place over land. So they traded in cities like Genoa, Venice, which is right here. So if you notice that these cities, let us show a map. These cities were on the coast. And also this city right here. So all of these cities on the coast that I'm looking at, showing you right now, these cities on the coast were major trading cities between the East Indies and Western Europe. So for example, persons in Spain or England or Portugal traveled on land. They traveled on land. They went to one of these trading cities and they would have received goods from the East Indies. Also, if we notice from the East Indies, there are several different water channels that is between Europe and Africa. And they would have gone into these. So some of the journeys from the East Indies were on land, some were on sea. But the major problem that they are going to have, ladies, is that there's always conflict between the Jews and the Muslims. And all of these areas in North Africa, all of these areas here, all of these areas right here in Asia were controlled by the Muslims. And worse, if they got rid of all the Jews from the Muslims from Granada, then listen, those Muslims in the other parts of North Africa, they are going to hear about what is going on. And so what they did was that they created barriers for trade. So what they did was that, one, it became very, very dangerous to travel on land. The Europeans, very, very problematic for the Europeans to travel on land because there was conflict between the Jews and the Muslims. And the Muslims also would have placed a lot of taxes on the goods coming from the East Indies. So the goods became very, very expensive. Remember that the goods are coming from here, China, India, the East Indies. These are the areas that the goods are coming from. And they are also in Europe sending goods from here to the East Indies. So there's a trade going between these places. But in order to maneuver this trade, they had to travel on Muslim territory. And so the Muslims placed high taxes on the goods, and the goods became very, very expensive from the East Indies. And they in Europe were not able to trade their goods as they would want to. So what is going to happen, ladies, is that they had a problem, right? There was a problem because the goods became very expensive, and there was quite a lot of problem between the Arabs who said, listen, we are not allowing you to trade as you want to. So what do you think the European country is going to try to do?
Sir, find our next way to get to them.
So the European countries are going to try to find a new way or route to get to the East Indies, which is this area. New way. And so, ladies, wow. What is going to happen, ladies? They are going to try to find new a new way in order to reach the East Indies. Now, when we return again, because our time has expired. When we
Tomorrow morning, sir.
No, tomorrow morning is you're doing it online on Monday. When we return on Monday, we're going to continue to look. Is Monday's the presentations? No.
Yes, sir.
The
Yes,
following
sir.
week. The following week is the presentation. Not next week, but the following week. So when we return on Monday, ladies, for our Zoom class,
Sir, I
we are
thought it was
going.
next week. That's the presentation.
No, the
November the
presentation.
2nd.
1 second. Let her look in the group. Yes, the presentation is on Monday. So, because we haven't finished this topic, I will change it. I'll send you a message. We can't do the presentation without finishing this topic. So what you will do is that you will do the presentation on the Tuesday. So Tuesday you'll do the presentation instead of the Monday. All right? So Tuesday you'll do the presentation instead of the Monday. Let us make note
Yes,
of
sir.
it. Because we have to finish this before you do the presentation. So ladies, what we're going to do, so what we looked at today is that we looked at Western Europe, what Western Europe was like, the religious aspect of Western Europe, the conflicts in Western Europe, and the trading relation. We know the challenges that they had when it comes to trade. So, and we know that they had challenges, and so their solution was to find a new trading route to the east. Now, ladies, when we return on Monday, I will continue, and on Tuesday, you're going to do the presentation. All right, ladies, any question or comment?
No, sir.
All right, so we meet again on Monday.
Bye, sir.
Bye-bye. Enjoy
Bye,
the rest of
sir.
the day.